So, good morning and welcome to this academic research summit, which is jointly organized by ACM India and MSR, Microsoft Research India. So, I am Madhavan. I am at Chennai Mathematical Institute and also currently the president of the ACM India Council. And Satish has kindly told me I don't need or don't deserve an introduction. So, I have to introduce myself. Okay, so so I just wanted to set the stage for this two-day thing by giving a brief overview of what ACM India has been doing and what it is about, just to give you an idea about what kind of activities we are in and hopefully get some of you who are not already engaged to join with us. Yeah, so ACM, as most of you know, stands for the Association for Computing Machinery, which is a kind of clunky name, but we stick with it. And I think its tagline typifies what it stands for. So ACM's tagline is that its mandate is to advance computing as a science and a profession. So ACM is essentially a body to advance computing, and so it's a technical body. It's in fact the world's largest scientific body in the area. It's probably best known, of course, for the Turing Award, which over the years has been tagged as a Nobel Prize in Computing. It's now roughly a little just over 50 years since the first award was given. Those in the academic community, I think, come across ACM quite regularly because of its role in building up various research areas through the special interest groups or SIGs, which in turn have set up some of the most prestigious conferences in their respective areas. And of course, ACM has a large body of very well-respected academic journals. And the ACM Digital Library is a repository of a lot of the scientific knowledge which has come out of the computing community in the last 50 odd years or more. Those who are teaching in India would also may not know, but they should know that almost universally the computing curriculum which is followed in institutions throughout the world is actually derived from recommendations which are drawn from ACM and IEEE. So since probably about 40 years, every decade or so, ACM and IEEE have come up with a blueprint for the computing curriculum, and this has been followed fairly faithfully in most institutions. Of course, there is always a challenge in translating the curriculum into delivery, but at least in terms of what is to be taught, I think ACM and the ACM curriculum does set the tone. So, so ACM has about 100,000 members, which are broken up into student members and professional members. And traditionally, ACM is thought of as an American organization. It's actually now a little less than 50% US based in terms of location of members. And interestingly, outside the US, the second largest nationality or national base is in India. So 10% of worldwide, 10% of ACM members are actually in India. So India is a significant part of ACM's activities, and partly in recognition of this, in 2010, ACM decided to formally set up international councils to further ACM's work in different parts of the world, and one of them was the ACM India Council. There's also an ACM China Council and an ACM Europe Council, but looking at what has been going on, I think it's fair to say that ACM India is the one which has really been most active in terms of growing new activities under the ACM banner. So what do we want to do in ACM? So essentially, I think what we want to do is take over a space which is vacant right now, which is that there is nobody really who is speaking, I think, for all facets of computing in India. So we would like to be the voice of the Indian computing community, which makes a link between academia and industry, and most importantly, the government, in terms of formulating policy, in terms of guiding curriculum, in terms of advancing the quality and quantity of research. So this is basically ACM's role, to be a leader in the computing space in India. So today's summit comes under one arm of ACM India called the Research Board. Our host, Professor P.J. Narayanan, or PJN, is the chair of the Research Board, and he will talk more about it. But one of the things that started as a Research Board activity was to initiate a doctoral dissertation award for computer science PhDs done in India. So there is an ACM International Doctoral Dissertation Award, but we felt it was important to give some emphasis and some recognition for work done in India. So since 2012, every year, we have a jury which goes through all computer science PhDs which have been nominated for the previous academic year and selects one, and there's a very handsome prize which is sponsored by TCS, and it will be given out at the ACM annual event in Nagpur next month. We have also seen in recent years that some ACM conferences and also some other conferences which are leading conferences in the area have come to India. It's always a challenge to move these conferences around because they are booked in advance, but we have had the fortune to have the Software Engineering Conference ICSE in Hyderabad in 2014. We had POPL in TIFR in 2015, and VLDB was held in Delhi in 2016. And we hope to see more such renowned conferences coming and having their events in India. ACM, together with the Indian Association for Research in Computing Science, IARCS, sponsors students to present papers at major international conferences. So these are the ACM IARCS conference grants. About 50 or 60 are given every year, and it's a fairly substantial amount of investment. And this is an area, for example, in terms of policy where the current government policy for handing out grants to attend these events completely bypasses computer science, because as we all know, computer science conferences typically acceptances are a few months, 2-3 months at most before the event, and most science grants require you to apply minimum of 6 months before the event. So it's impossible for computer science students to actually avail of any grants from governmental organizations. So ACM and IARCS are filling in, but obviously we would like in the long run that this is enabled through a larger mechanism. We have also been trying to track how research has been advancing by having an annual PhD production survey, which surveys the major institutions in India and tries to see how many PhDs are being produced in what areas and where they are going. And so this is a kind of useful metric, and it is definitely showing a positive trend, but probably not growing as fast as anybody would like it to. And finally, there is this event, the Academic Research Summit, which now for the last 3 years, we have been trying to have on an annual basis jointly with MSR. And we hope that this will become a space where people involved specifically in research activities can get together and share both their work and also discuss on issues which may be hampering their work, and also on how to get things started which will improve collaborations and improve infrastructure all around. So other than the research board, concretely, of course, ACM, as I mentioned before, worldwide is a major academic force. And in India, we do have a few SIGs which have kind of Indian counterparts. In particular, we have software engineering SIG ISOFT, we have the knowledge and data discovery IKDD, and we have recently a computer science education SIG I6C. And these SIGs hold technical conferences. So CORDS is the data science conference of IKDD, ISEC is the software engineering conference of ISOFT. And predating ACM India's actual formal formation, there was a conference called Compute, which was started by the ACM chapter in Bangalore. And this continues, and this is evolving in format, but these are 3 activities which ACM does. ACM has internationally a distinguished speaker program which allows eminent speakers to go and visit colleges and universities to motivate students to take up research. So we have set up a parallel program within India called the Eminent Speaker Program. And we hope through this that we will get more students to engage with people doing research in India. And we also had started in 2017 a summer school program. And this is aimed at senior undergraduates or also master's students to give exposure to specific areas of research. So we had 4 last year in 4 different parts of the country on 4 different themes. roughly about 40 to 50 students per school, so about 200 students, say, who took part in this, and we plan to do the same this year. The announcement is in process of being ready in terms of finalizing the venues and the themes. But one of the features of these summer schools is that they are held, first of all, geographically in different places, but the people who come to speak at these schools are from the leading research groups in those areas that are represented at the school. So it gives both ways. It gives the students an exposure to what is going on in India, because many people, I think many students don't even know, many of us don't know, perhaps, what different research groups in India are actually working on. And for students especially, it gives them an opportunity to find out what they can aspire to do if they want to stay in India and do academic research. And for the research community, it of course gives a window to a larger volume of students whom they can potentially engage with in terms of attracting them as future PhD students. One of the main activities that ACM India has taken up in the last 2 or 3 years, which is kind of maybe new to ACM India as opposed to ACM as a whole, is to focus on computer science education. So we have an education committee. R. Venkatesh from TCS Pune is the chair. And we have been working at different levels. So we started off with the idea of trying to make the quality of teaching more uniform across the different engineering colleges. And of course, in India, if you look at UGC or AICTE or any of these government bodies, they always have a mandate for faculty development programs where faculty have to periodically attend these sessions. But unfortunately, I think in most cases, these are not really serving any purpose. So we have been trying to see how to make this kind of an activity more effective and meaningful. Now, if you were paying attention before this to all the videos that were flashing, there was one about Sangam, and before that MEC. So MEC is an experiment which was set up by Microsoft Research called Massively Empowered Classrooms, which was an attempt to see if MOOC-like technology can be used not primarily to address students directly, but as a way to enhance teachers' resources and make teaching more effective. So it was piloted initially in Karnataka, and I had been one of the contributors of lectures for that. But ultimately, it ended up being at that point more a student-centric activity. So finally, the most direct impact was that students were using this in addition to their classroom material. But now through the education committee, we have now an arrangement with Microsoft, because the platform is still there and the material is still there, and we are now working to repurpose it, as it were, to see if we can actually make it a resource where teachers from across the country at different institutions can contribute material. I mean, there's a lot of things that people can share which are useful, including exercises or examples or interesting ways of presenting things. Because I think faculty development programs so far focus on teaching the subject and not teaching how to teach the subject. So this is something I think which we at ACM India would like to change and actually come up with more meaningful teacher-oriented activities. Related to this, there are curriculum workshops where, as I said, ACM is the parent body propagating a curriculum, but many people are unaware of what are the motivations and what are the purposes behind this curriculum. In an effort to measure skills, we kind of co-piloted with NPTEL National Programming Aptitude Test to see how much students coming out of our institutions can actually do by way of simple coding, nothing very elaborate. This is like first year undergraduate coding. And most impressively, I think from our side, we have now a program to focus on computational thinking in schools called CS Pathshala. It started in April 2016, so it's not even 2 years old. We started with a very modest goal of just coming up with a recommendation as to how computing should be introduced in schools, but it has grown far beyond our expectations. In the very first year, there was a pilot of 40 odd schools in Pune who took it up, so right from 2016 June, and now we have 100+ schools, and we have some interest in Gujarat, some state government schools, so the material has been translated into Gujarati. There is some interest from Andhra Pradesh and some NGOs. So this is going well, and it's also, as I will mention later, resulted in some interest even from things like CBSE and NCERT. So one of the activities worldwide of ACM is ACMW, which is the women's wing to support, celebrate, and advocate engagement of women in all aspects of computing. So in India, we now have an annual meeting called the All India Celebration of Women in Computing. The last one was in Chennai in September. We also have regional celebrations which are held throughout the country where people come and mainly targeted at women, students, and professionals. So we have been organizing symposia for these students. We have had women students hackathons, coding competitions, and along like in the US, so the Grace Hopper Conference, which is organized along with the Anita Borg Institute, is an event targeted at women professionals and students. And in India also, we have been co-presenting this every November and December for the last few years. So Aarti Dikshit from Pune is the chair of ACMW India, and she is in the audience. And we would really like to hear from all of you, and in particular the women in the audience, about what kinds of activities we should be taking up in order to engage more with women professionals and students in India. So the last leg, which is always the hardest leg, so academia is easy to engage with somehow, but industry and government, we have had a little bit of progress. I would not say earth-shattering progress. So a couple of years ago, 1.5 years ago rather, with NASSCOM, we organized a Deep Tech Summit, a half-day event at the Product Conclave in Bangalore. And this was aimed at showcasing academic initiatives in a startup space, where people from academic institutions have taken up challenges and actually developed products or programs which are of relevant to the community. And we are hoping that NASSCOM will take this forward. They would like to set up a kind of a meeting point where they link up with ACM to link tech startups with academic interfaces. The government last 2 years has had something called the Smart India Hackathon, which is aimed at engineering students to try and engage them with government departments and develop ideas for problems of which these departments propose. And ACM has been an evaluation coordinator for this. And as I mentioned, in connection with CS Pathshala, we have actually started talking to both CBSE and NCERT formally, and we have been invited to participate in their curriculum revision. So it has been going a lot better than we expected, I think. So I think I will stop there, and I would just like to remind you all that ACM is an organization of volunteers, and therefore we all need people to come forward and step up and do something in something that they are passionate about. And with that, I think ACM India has come a long way in the last few years in terms of activities, and I think there are a lot more things which are opening up. And I think there are different activities in different spheres where everybody can do something meaningful. So I would definitely encourage all of you to seriously look into these activities and see where you can play a role, or suggest new activities which can supplement or complement these. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome not only to the summit, Academic Research Summit that is co-hosted by MSR and ACM India, specifically the Research Board. So as Chairman of the Research Board as well as Director of the host institution, I welcome you warmly to this nice campus. Enjoy, go around and see. We have a large team in working in AI areas. You can go around and see some of those things. I think there are some posters downstairs, etc. But now I would like to talk to you about a little bit about the ACM Research Board, detailing on some of the points that Madhavan already mentioned. So, what's the magic here? This one. Okay. So, ACM Research Board is ACM India is a formal society registered under the Societies Act. It has a legal framework, etc. ACM Research Board is a small group within the ACM India, which we like to say a group to unite and ignite the CS research community. So Madhavan said research community is easier to engage with because we all understand ACM, we all understand the benefits of ACM. And so we want to be the voice of the computing research in India. So one of the biggest drawbacks in this country had been at least the quality and quantity of research, the number of PhDs produced, as well as the presence of our PhD students or other researchers in the global community has been not up to the level that a big country like ours should be at. So what can, collectively, how can we play a role? That's one of the questions that we want to ask at Research Board. It's very heartening to see the last 10 years things have changed a lot. We see many more quality publications from India or quality PhDs produced, etc. So work with all stakeholders on this, especially the academia, the researchers, industry researchers, and hopefully the government and the funding agencies. So what are the main activities of the Research Board? Okay, the activities, Madhavan mentioned them already, the PhD production survey. I'll give you a little bit more detail about all these. The doctoral dissertation award, the conference travel funds for students, the faculty summits, and above all, the community building. So in PhD production, this is some survey that we started in 2012, and I must recognize Professor Pankaj Jalote, IIIT Delhi. He pioneered, he did the legwork for the first couple of years, and right now for the last few years, Gautam Shroff from TCS is also a ACM India Council member. He and his team has been doing the legwork. It involves a lot of work in collecting the data and presenting it properly. So as you can see, this is not very visible here, but you will see the numbers more. But I would like to point out few things here. The animations are coming at the wrong place. They're supposed to look at the first line there. So I will read it out for you. The first line says 2011, 12, 26 institutes provided data. Next year it was 34, then 39, then 33, and last year it was 16. I think this doesn't augur well. And people here are the institution. A lot of the institutions that should be providing data are represented here. You should go back to your department and say, the data asked is very basic. How many PhDs were graduated? What are the areas? Where are they going? With the jobs, and so on. Basic information, and all that is compiled. This report is available on ACM India website. But this is something that we need to be more active in, so that if you don't measure something, if you don't track something, we cannot improve it very easily. So collectively we should be doing that, and that's the effort. And the good thing is, what happened? Good thing is the number of PhDs has been going up. This is there is a set of colleges where research-focused institution that we are focused on the survey. So the first year the survey was conducted, there were 137 PhDs produced in those institutions, and that grew significantly to now 269 in the last year's survey. This is actually 15-16 data. 16-17 data has been submitted. I think the report will come out soon. So that's a good trend to see the rising numbers. But as you know, with such a large country with such high population, we can easily have 10 times this many good PhDs. We need that many good PhDs. So, and one more thing, again my point that institutions here around the country should participate in it more enthusiastically. So producing PhD is one thing. How about recognizing quality PhD? So the ACM India Doctoral Dissertation Award was set up as a formal award. We made a presentation to the ACM Awards Committee. They accepted it, and it's published in the ACM Awards page. You will see the awardees' names and details. So I'll give you, in the last few years, who has been awarded these things. What happened? Okay, so this is from backward. In 2012, the first award went to Ruta Mehta in IIT Bombay, and you can see the other names. One good thing is, both 2012 and 2015, 2012 and 2014, the main awardees were women PhD students. And the interesting thing is, in 45 years or something of the ACM Global Dissertation Awards, there have been one woman awardee until 2012. And in India, even the first one went to Ruta, and Ruta is now a faculty member at University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And all the others have done very well. So I'll give you the official awards have been decided for this year, and there's no secret, I'm told. So I'll give you the drum rolls and the next year awardees' names. The award will be given in about a month's time in the ACM India annual event that this time takes place in Nagpur on 17th of February. So Palash De from IISc wins the main award, and there are two honorable mentions, Swagato Sanyal from TIFR and Manoj Agarwal from IIT Bombay. So again, institutions can nominate members, their PhD students. I think the custom is if you're producing if you're producing any PhD, you can nominate one. If you're producing more than 10 PhDs in the previous year, you can nominate 2 people. And we set up a distinguished international jury who goes through this and make, they spend a lot of time, volunteer their time to make this happen, and we really thank them for that and congratulate all the winners. So we want more students around here to be in this list sometime, and the faculty around here to nominate their students to this. What is this coming here? Okay, the next one is about travel funding. This is ACM and IARCS together have been managing this, and I just got the news yesterday that 56 travel grants were given in 2017. Okay, 56 individuals were sponsored to go to some of the top conferences in the world, and the numbers split. The top few institutions are there. I assure you, I have no role in playing in selecting these candidates, in spite of IIIT Hyderabad coming there. There were 34 grants in 2016, and this whole thing spent, the ACM and IARCS together spent about 35 lakhs on this, and this is money extremely well spent. And if you see, look at the conferences to which funding were given, it includes all the best conferences in the world: AAAI, ICHKAI, AMAS, ICCV, CVPR, SODA. This is just some of them. There are many. There's a long list, because there are 56 separate individuals supported. So supporting this community, this is a very critical. By talking to academics over the years, we found that there's a critical shortcoming or critical gap in our system. People get recent scholarships, but to travel to a conference abroad, government has all kinds of hoops that you have to jump through to get funding. So we are very glad to support this along with the IARCS. And the academic research summits again, this is the 4th one happening. In 2013 we had one in Delhi, then there was a gap. 2016, 17, 18 we have been holding it roughly in this time frame, end of January, along with MSR, even the first one with MSR. So it was in Pune 2 years ago, last year it was in Bangalore, and now we have it in Hyderabad. So I'll conclude with this slide. I showed some of the activities of ACM India Research Board, but the real purpose of ACM India Research Board or ACM India is build the community, and the Research Board particularly focuses on the academic and industry research community. So we have a session for all the whoever is interested in academic research, which is all of you. This evening at after the last talk, etc., there is a 1 hour we'll have a dialogue. We can have interactive session between some of us and all of us, and see what is it that we need and how can we make it more effective, how can we increase the participation, etc. So thank you very much, and welcome to the summit once again.